So this is as long as the technology holds out, we're trying to provide an avenue for people who can't be here physically to enjoy our Mojo's coffee and our pastries, but can hear the same information. So thanks for taking the time to be here. We just wanted to spend a handful of minutes with you and share some information about the district, and then provide opportunities for any questions or comments that you might have about the district. I want to start off and introduce to you our school board members that are here. We've got Suzanne Brown, board member. Andy Field is our board president. Robbie Back is a board member. So thank you to our board members for their outstanding service. You know, they volunteer countless hours, and you're going to be hearing some things I'm going to talk about that some of the things and decisions that they're making that are making this district even better than what it's ever been. We don't have a PowerPoint this morning, but we have a handout that I'm going to be using so you can follow along. Again, those on YouTube Live, we've posted the handout on Facebook, and so you can go and look at the handout as we talk about it. Also wanted to say thank you again to Mojo's Coffee for sponsoring our event. Forrest is here, was here. Here's Forrest Jackson, owner. They have been such a great partner with Burnett CISD, and I will tell you, not only in doing things like providing coffee for special events, but we have a lot of students that work at Mojo, and Forrest does a great job in teaching our young people about customer service and those soft skills in working with customers. So we're super excited that a lot of our students in our work program actually work at Mojo's Coffee. And then wanted to make sure that I introduced to you a handful of people too that are here in the room. These are our directors for the district. We've got Clay Gehring as our Director of Business and Finance. Adam Hermes is our Director of Technology. Michelle Gilmore is our Director of Human Resources. Charlie Goebel is our Director of Facilities and Operations. Did I catch all of the directors? Oh, I'm sorry. Everyone's sitting in the back because they're afraid of the camera. So Jim Connor is our Director of Secondary Curriculum. Shelley Revis is our Director of Elementary Curriculum. I point them out that, you know, as we wrap up, if you have any questions that are specific to their areas, they're going to hang around and answer any questions. So let me go to the handout and start with the stuff on the left-hand side of the page in gray and tell you this story. It was about 5.5 years ago, almost to the date, within this window, that in fact, some of you were actually at this event. We had a community forum at the high school library, and I had just been hired, and I visited every campus, department, held a couple community forums, and where I asked the same 3 questions. I asked, you know, what's getting in the way of all students learning? What do we need as a community to help all students be successful? And what do you expect of me as superintendent? And we went through a sticky note activity where we put up all these ideas. We clumped the ideas. We then vote ranked the ideas using dots. And so out of all of those meetings, we came up with a top 10 list of things that we need to help all students be successful, a top 10 things of things that the superintendent that we expect of him, top 10 things that are getting in the way of students being successful. And that's been our roadmap for the last 5 years. The work that we've been doing as a district came almost directly from all of the feedback that we got from our community and our staff. You know, examples include some of our accelerated classes that we're offering. We heard that from especially our community forum, our expansion of our CTE program, our focus on safe and secure learning environments. So all of those things were things that were mentioned during all of these feedback sessions. And so that's been kind of our roadmap of work the last 5 years. About a year ago, we started having discussions that we needed to hit the pause button and ask the question, are we still doing the right work? And what work do we need to be doing for the next 3 years? So we started a strategic planning process actually this past month in September. At the end of September, we had 40 members of a strategic planning steering committee that gathered to begin to build the foundation of our strategic planning process. The 40 members represented our community. They were parents, they were teachers, administrators, and probably as impactful as anything, we had 5 high school students that served on that strategic planning steering committee. pretty remarkable. Sometimes you would think, well, the students were just there to listen and observe. And I will tell you, in many cases, we were broken up into groups of about 10 people per group. The students were the ones that were reporting out from the groups. The students were the ones that were kicking off the conversation, and their insight, it's amazing. You know, our young people, if you ask them about their education, they want you to know what they need from us as adults and as a school system. And so that committee created our new vision statement, our new mission statement. We talked about the beliefs, and then on the back of the handout, we developed 4 strategic planning goals. One of the goals deals with academic achievement. That's our core business. One of the goals deals with climate and culture, and that's for the adults in the organization, but also for our students in the organization. We have a goal that deals with quality education, quality educators, recruiting, retaining, and support for our quality educators. And then finally, we developed a goal that talks about collaboration with our community, making sure that we're proactively collaborating and communicating with our community. So this is the foundation of our strategic plan. So at the end of October, we're going to have some of the members of our strategic planning steering committee are going to stay on that committee. And then we're layering on another group of people, primarily teachers and staff from the district, because their goal is to take the goals, the objectives, and the strategies that have already been developed, and they have to develop the action steps, the stuff that we're actually going to do to make sure that we achieve these 4 goals. So at the end of October, that committee will be meeting for 2 days, develop the action steps. We'll be bringing everyone back together in November that has been a part of the planning process to make sure that we're good with the entire plan. And then we'll be taking that plan to our Board of Trustees in January for approval, so that we'll begin then implementing the strategic plan in the spring of this coming year. So that is the foundation of the work that we're going to be doing the next 3 years. As we move over to the right-hand side of the handout, I've just got some icons that are going to help lead our discussion. The first is our brand is Burnett Consolidated ISD, Crafting the Future. I've got a little symbol there next to it. It says Gold Star, Best in Class. That represents that this past spring, the Texas School Public Relations Association awarded Burnett CISD a Gold Star Best in Class for our logo and our brand. And as proud as we are of that award, we're more proud of the promise that that brand means. You know, crafting the future. It's not just about a cool sounding tagline, but it's about the promise behind that and all the things that we do to make sure that we're preparing kids for their future. The next icon goes right along with that. This week is Education Go Get It Week. It's a week in which, as a district, we're focusing on what is that next step? What can we help prepare students for their future as we craft that future? And what we know is that a student's experience today can't just be thinking about high school. It's about high school plus. And that plus is college. That plus is trade school. That plus is a certification so that they can enter into the world of work. And so you're seeing a number of our staff members today from central office that are wearing their college shirts. I'm sporting my University of North Texas shirt in support of Education Go Get It Week. And so it's important that when we say crafting the future, it's not just about we're making sure that everyone is prepared to go to college. We want to make sure that we create that future that the student wants, and that future is as varied as our students. And so, like I said, it's about college, it's about trade schools, it's about certifications, it's about whatever that student says that they want to do with their future. But what we can't accept as an answer is, well, when I'm just going to graduate from high school, because that is not enough in the workforce today. You can't just graduate from high school and say, I'm done. You've got to commit to doing something high school plus, and we want to make that happen. The next icon is the trend line. And for the first time since I've been a part of Burnett CISD, I'm standing in front of a community forum sharing that we're actually increasing in student enrollment. The past 5.5 years, I've always stood up in front of groups and talked about one of our challenges is declining enrollment. We're sitting at about 3,200 students today. We've added over 115 students since the first day of school. That there are great things about that. Clay Gehring, our director of business and finance, he's extremely excited about that because more students means increased revenue. The challenge with it is that that means that not all of those kids showed up exactly where we necessarily needed them or had staff to support them. And so we've been in the process of hiring teachers here just in the last couple of weeks to try and fill in some gaps where we've had more students show up in a grade level than what we were expecting. We commissioned a demographic study just this past summer, and the demographer is saying, just get ready for the next 10 years, we expect now modest growth. And so we are out of the declining mode, and we're going to be growing for the next 10 years modestly. So that demographic study is going to help us plan for the future because it actually provides projections of how many students based on birth rates and transfer rates and all of that data can we expect in each one of our grade levels for the next 10 years. And so like I said, the good news is increased revenue because the next talking point I'm going to share about is the tax cut that our Board of Trustees just approved. They approved a 4-cent tax decrease for this year, and that's pretty remarkable in 1 year to decrease tax rate by 4 cents. So our tax rate is currently at $1.28. That's 2 cents away from pre-2014 bond levels. So what's pretty remarkable about that is that we were able to do all of the work associated with the bond, and we've been able to lower our tax rate every year since we've approved the bond. And so we've been able to keep our promise to our community that we want to have the lowest tax rate possible while making sure that we're planning for the future and we have the best facilities and educational programs we can offer. As we look to the future, we think we can lower that tax rate even more. And so we're looking forward to being able to have that discussion in the future for next year's budget. Related to enrollment and finance, the other thing that I'm standing in front of you and saying for the first time in the history of Burnett CISD is that we are projecting that we are going to be a recapture district. So maybe you've heard of Robin Hood as part of the school finance plan in the state of Texas. So for the first time, we're going to receive, we're collecting local tax money, and we're going to physically write a check to the Texas Education Agency of Burnett CISD money, goes to Austin, and then it's going to be redistributed to other districts across the state. We've never had to do that before. And so that's going to take some planning for the future to make sure that we're well ahead of that curve, to make sure we're prepared to not have all of the money that we're necessarily generating here locally available to us. The good news is that the recapture is based on wealth per student. And so as our student population grows, that wealth per student comes to a level where we're not going to have to pay as much. For example, back during the summer, we were projecting it could be upwards of $900,000 that we were going to have to write a check for. With this increased enrollment, right now the projection is around $200,000. Because we've been planning and looking ahead and making sure that we're wanting to stay on top of this, this budget that we adopted this year, and again, great credit to our Board of Trustees for planning ahead, we have set aside $250,000 for that recapture payment. So we're not going to be one of those districts that surprised by we have to write a check and where are we going to find that money. We've already planned for that payment to take place. And if we add additional students and that payment goes down, even better. We get to keep that money here locally. The next row, the icon is the accountability rating. So all of our campuses met standard as part of the state accountability system. Our main goal, though, I've been going and meeting with each one of our campuses. Our focus is on teaching and learning. We want to improve teaching and learning. When we improve teaching and learning, then what we know is that ratings are going to take care of themselves. We're still waiting to hear more about the new A through F rating system that's going to be coming out. We'll actually get what if ratings again here in 2018, and they've made significant changes to that rating system, and so we're kind of still waiting to see what that's going to look like for Burnett CISDs and all the other school districts across the state. The next icon is the picture of our two great school resource officers, Officer Lamb and Officer Bertelson. School safety is extremely important in our district. You know, what we know is if you don't feel safe and secure sitting in a classroom, it's going to be hard to learn. So our board of trustees committed to adding an additional school resource officer. So this year we now have 2. Larry Lamb is primarily assigned to the high school. Officer Bertelson is primarily assigned to the middle school. But what's nice about having 2 is they're then able to make rounds to our elementary campuses. And so, for example, just the other day, I was at Shady Grove Elementary. I walked in the cafeteria, and there's Officer Bertelson during pre-K lunch, hanging out with some pre-K students, giving them high fives, hugging them. And, you know, part of the goal is safety and security, but the other goal is we want our young people to know that police are part of our community helpers. You know, it's not just about getting a ticket or arresting someone, but they're there to help. And so our students at an early age are learning that the police are part of our community helpers and that they're there to help. At Bertram Elementary, we work directly with Bertram Police, and we have a contract agreement with them where they provide 4 hours of walk-through services at our elementary. So we want to make sure that every one of our campuses get that same level of support from law enforcement. Our Board of Trustees has also committed significant resources to hiring behavior staff. So we've committed over $350,000 in the past 2 years to hiring behavior staff across all of our campuses, because what we know is if we don't have systems to support our students that are in need, then that's taking away from the educational opportunities that are taking place in classrooms. And so we've hired specific behavior staff at each one of our campuses to support each of our classrooms. Also, our last major bond project is in the process of wrapping up. We think this week will be done. That's adding a Prox card system that uses a pass card to get into every exterior door in our district. And so what's great about that is we're going to know whenever someone uses the pass card to enter, it records them electronically. We know who's come in, who's left. We're also able to remotely lock every door in the district or unlock every door in the district if we need to. We also don't have to leave it up to staff in the evenings to make sure that every door is locked. Every door in the district will automatically lock. And so that was a slight expansion of our bond program. We did not at first have it in the plans to have every door in the district on the Prox card system, but that leads me to my next talking point about the bond. Extremely successful bond proposition. We thank our community so much for their support, but not only were we able to do everything we said we were going to do, and we've been able to meet every target we said we were going to do, especially in terms of the tax rate. We saved over $800,000. And so we reinvested that money back into projects that we didn't think we were going to have money to do. A couple things that come to mind: the Prox card system, having every door being on that secure system. Our middle school auditorium, I got a facelift of new sound system, lighting system, carpet and paint. New stage. If you've been to that area, it was just starting to look a little worn. We've been able to do some paint and carpet in areas that it was not on the original plan. And so very fortunate. Great credit to our bond oversight committee, to our administration, again, to be able to do everything that we were able to do and have that $800,000 of savings to be able to reinvest back in the district. I feel for school districts today that recently are in the middle of a bond program or have passed a bond program, there are estimates out there that construction costs are just skyrocketing right now because of the horrific hurricanes in Florida and Houston. And so we're very fortunate that we were well above that bubble, because there are districts right now having to deal with that they're not going to be able to do the projects that they said they were going to do because construction costs are rising so fast. Next item is our inspired classrooms. So you may recall last year we wrote a grant through the Franklin I. Fickett Foundation to fund 12 classrooms, instructional areas, to infuse high-impact flexible furniture and technology in the classrooms with the challenge and goal to change the way that we teach and learn in our classrooms. And so we had 12 teachers apply and receive the furniture and technology. We did a pre-survey with students. We did a post-survey with students after the furniture and technology had been deployed. And so it's not just me saying that pilot was such a huge success. It's our students. And our students told us that they saw teaching and learning changed in the classrooms, especially in terms of the amount of time that they were working together collaboratively, the amount of time that they were utilizing technology in the classroom. Our students reported significant gains in those areas. In fact, the gains were so significant that 2 national publications wrote articles about our Inspired Classroom pilot, and those were published this summer. So we were thrilled to have that feedback nationally. It was so successful that our Board of Trustees approved right at $150,000 for the next round. And so we've got 8 classrooms that are going to be receiving that high impact flexible furniture and technology so that we can expand that pilot. Our goal from the pilot is to figure out what works best, and then eventually over time we would love every one of our classrooms to have that type of furniture and technology throughout the district. Again, I want to give credit on the next item to our Board of Trustees. They approved over $500,000 for a literacy initiative. And so every one of our reading classrooms in the district has a leveled library of right at 100 books. That is key to have that much literacy in the classroom. All of our teachers have received professional development, and part of that expense is paying for coaching. So, you know, sometimes whenever you implement a new process, program, initiative, you get that training in August, and then it's good luck with trying to do it the rest of the time. Well, we didn't say good luck. What we've done is we've hired coaches to come in, and they're supporting our teachers on a routine basis this year to make sure that they feel comfortable and that we're implementing the program with fidelity. What we know is that reading is the foundation for all of their learning. And we saw gaps across the district in how we taught reading. So now with a common reading approach, we're all pulling in the same direction, and our goal is to reduce the number of students not reading on grade level. Because what we know is how detrimental that is for our students as they try to learn or go on to their goals after high school. So we're looking forward to this. At the end of this month, we're actually going to give a status report to the Board of Trustees at our October 23rd meeting. We're actually going to be meeting in Bertram, so please feel free to join us at that meeting. But we're looking forward to seeing the real results in terms of numbers at the end of this school year. The next item, that icon is not the little cabin in the woods where I plan on retiring someday. That represents the tiny home that Geometry and Construction, our new course at Burnett High School, will be building this year. So we took geometry and we took construction trades and we married them into a single course where students are getting to learn geometrical concepts in a hands-on process. The goal is they're going to build a tiny home using geometry and those construction trade skills, and then we're going to auction off the tiny home to fund next year's project. Super excited to be partnering with the Hill Country Builders Association. We don't necessarily have people on staff that have the certifications for plumbing and electrical, but they're going to offer those trades are going to come in and help supplement our teachers in providing that specific instruction. So we're super excited about that. Right now it's a single course, but we're looking forward to expanding that in the future. That's what relevant education is all about. And some of you may have heard about that because of the next icon, Crafting the Future in 90 Seconds. So about twice a month, we're committed to putting out 90-second videos to tell people the good stories about what's happening in Burnett CISD. I've had more people come up to me and say, gosh, I had no idea we were teaching geometry in a construction trades program. And so we want to get word out on those type programs. Tomorrow, Jim Connor's actually going to film our next Crafting the Future in 90 Seconds, so look for it. We're going to be focusing on our Mandarin Chinese course at Burnett High School. And then finally, I have to end on such a great note. Late last spring, our social studies team, UIL social studies team, won gold medal at state level social studies competition. So they are a state champion social studies team led by Hunter Hobbs, one of our social studies teachers at the high school. We were extremely excited to be able to celebrate a state championship in Burnett CISD. And I didn't mention the Crafting the Future in 90 Seconds. We've been posting that on Facebook, but we've also created a permanent link on our webpage. If you go to our webpage about us or about the district, you'll find Crafting the Future in 90 Seconds. All the videos are going to be archived there. I wanted to give Tim Denton a moment to make a quick announcement about another event that's going to be held here at the Parent Resource Center next Friday.
YMCA at the Highland Lakes partner with the school to do what we call an Inspirational Breakfast. This is going to give the YMCA a chance to give back to the community, as well as you an opportunity to find out a little bit more about the YMCA. This is called an Inspirational Breakfast because our own Joe Van will give us an inspirational message, 10 or so minutes, and then give us a chance to get a little better acquainted with what's going on at the YMCA. They want to emphasize the C, which is the Christian emphasis part of the local YMCA. And Darlene and I are going to host this along with the Y, and it's going to be right here a week from tomorrow from 8 to 9 o'clock. Thank you.
You want to take a moment and introduce your special guest?
This is Barrett Wade Feller. I call him my little feller. And right now he's pretty happy.
I'm thinking I need to bring Barrett with me because I think you just look better holding a baby while talking to a group of people. So with that, do you have any questions or comments, or as I end every staff meeting, do you have any good rumors that I can help either support or dispel?
No questions, but comment. I'm just sitting here thinking about everything you talked about and looking around the office, but how wonderful our school is. All this is so great, uplifting to hear, and positive, and hear about all the other schools and people going to other places to take their kids to other schools, better, high powered. They don't know this place. I'm so proud. I'm so thankful.
Well, I appreciate the comment very much. I will tell you, my job is to share the good news about the district and the work that we're doing. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you the 5 things that aren't working today. But what I want you to know is we've got this great team of people that even if I'm not standing in front of you talking about those things, we're working constantly. I share with the Board of Trustees, the first time I ever stand up in front of them and say, we're great and we're done, that's the time for them to probably say, well, Keith, it's been nice knowing you, great job. We're going to get someone else, because we recognize the fact that we think we're doing some really good work, but we still have some areas to work on and improve, and we're committed to doing that every day. We have meetings every week talking about what's not working in the district and how to make it better. Dana.
You talked about demographics. I just am curious how this immigration round or employee.
And I don't know if I have any evidence that shows that it has been impacting it. Like I said, for the first time, we've started the school year up, and for the most part, we're maintaining the trajectory. What I don't know, what's interesting about Burnett, and it's true as I talk with the other superintendents in Marble Falls, Lampasas, Llano, we kind of trade kids. So I can't tell you, so that 100, it's not necessarily all. We've actually added more than 100 new students. I'm saying 100 students that have increased our enrollment, but we've changed more students because of just the transition. We transfer a lot of kids between us. Liberty Hill is a great example. We have a large group of parents that live on the line that is actually closer for them to attend Liberty Hill, and so they transfer to Liberty Hill. We have people that are in Lampasas that actually feel like they're closer to come to us, and so they'll do that. And so we share a lot of kids, and we'll have kids that will leave us and then come right back. So it's hard for me to point to. There's not been some significant drop or gain in any one area that would point to that's been a significant impact.
Performance is based a lot because the low performance students seem to become disadvantaged. Anything special?
Well, so the question was, oftentimes students who aren't performing as well are coming from low SES, low socioeconomic situations. Very true. Because our district is right at 60% low SES, I would tell you that everything we do, I think, is focused on trying to support those families and trying to support our students. I think the reading initiative is one of those things that we had teachers doing lots of great things. The problem was teacher A was doing this great thing, teacher B was doing this great thing, and what we know, especially kids that come from poverty, they need more structure. And so we believe that this guided reading approach supports our very best readers, because having a leveled library in the classroom now means that if a kid is reading on a first, second grade level and they're sitting in kindergarten, they don't have to read a kindergarten level book. We've always had level libraries at the campus, but that meant teacher had to walk down to the room and get that book. Those resources are now in the classroom. And so what we know is we have to provide that structured approach. That guided reading approach, I think, supports our learners that are ready to accelerate. But that structured approach, when they matriculate from kindergarten to first grade to second grade, reading instruction is not going to look different each year. And it's not bad that it looked different. It's just everyone was doing really good things, but especially kids from poverty, they need to hear a consistent message every day. And the reading approach and the training and the coaching that we're providing, I think, is going to provide that more consistent approach, especially at the early grade levels. And I didn't mention, we have a reading class at middle school and a reading class at high school, because even through our best efforts, we know that there are students that aren't reading on grade level. And so it's not like we're saying any longer, well, if you don't get it through elementary, there's no support for you. We want to provide that support for our middle school and high school students, and we've done that. Nancy.
I've noticed, last few years we've had the after-school program.
Yes.
That, talking with parents, talking, with students, some of these low SES students, that has been a big help for having that after-school program.
Yes.
Is there any consideration going on for if this discontinues, what the school can do to help keep something like that going?
Great question, and I'm going to repeat it just so that people that are live streaming. So we offer an after-school program. It was grant funded. Almost 5 years ago, we wrote this federal grant, was awarded. The funding is starting to wrap up. We were very concerned at the initial outset of the Trump administration, because they very publicly, their budget director went on national television and said, after-school programs don't work. We contacted our congressman, we contacted the White House, and at least said, hey, come to Burnett CISD, because the after-school program not only is working, it's making a tremendous impact on our students. So funding does wrap up this year. We're hoping to hear within the next couple of months that they are going to be reauthorizing and providing the opportunity for us to get re-granted. 5 years ago, I came from another district that had this after-school program, and it was almost a given. If you did good work for kids in your after-school program, you got refunded. The question mark right now is just, is that funding going to be available? The most recent news that we've heard is that there is going to be funding available, that piece for cuts has been removed, and that there will be funding available for after-school programming. We hope in the next couple of months that the application comes back out. We are going to give it we've got a great story to tell. In our first year, we were named one of the best after-school programs in the state of Texas, among all in the state of Texas. So we feel like we're offering an outstanding program and can make a great case for why we should be refunded. If worst case scenario comes, we are already beginning to have conversations about what can we do to maintain some presence of an after-school program. But I'm going to be honest, there's no way that we can have the level of after-school program that we have today. We serve over, help me out, Shelley, 800 kids every day. Provide transportation for every one of those students that want it. Provide healthy snack. We hire lots of people to come in, because what's so successful about the after-school program is you've got to have the academic piece, but you've got to have the carrot to tell a student, you know what, if you'll hang in there with me and work for 45 minutes or an hour on your academics, then we're going to give you something fun. And so it's like a college. They get to sign up for what they're interested in, whether it's dance or cheerleading or tennis or whatever it might be. And so that's what's so great about the after-school program. It supports the academics, but they also get to try out really cool, fun things. And so we probably would not be able to do it to the level that we're doing today, but we will have some presence of after school program, whether there's federal funding or there's not.
So voice to the federal or state or whatever, hey, we need to keep this going.
Definitely communicate, email, letters, Roger Williams, and directly to the White House that after school programming works, and come to Burnett CISD. We'll show you how well it's working. Absolutely. And then we probably, as the grant application comes out, if you're enthusiastic about it, we sometimes need supporting letters to accompany our, so we're going to be going out to leaders in the community asking for their support to say, hey, this works. Refund Burnett CISD's after school program. Great questions. Anything else? Yes.
So I know last year we passed the District of Innovation.
Yes.
5, 6 different points and reasons why we did so. I'd heard that the board had approved a class exemption, size exemption.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that process?
Sure. So in grades K through 4, the state of Texas requires a 22-to-1 student-teacher ratio. And as I mentioned, our increase in enrollment happened at certain grade levels. At Shady Grove kindergarten, Shady Grove first grade, Bertram's second grade, and those are the 3. And so at our September meeting, Bertram's second grade and Shady Grove's first grade, we applied for a waiver from the 22-to-1 requirement, because we have 30 days once we know that we're over by 22-to-1. So that means that in some of these classes, they have 23 students. So the minute that we're over, we've got 30 days to apply for the waiver or fix it. Well, we've been trying to fix it, and so we've been putting out recruiting, and it's just taken some time. So we have, on our October 23rd meeting, we're going to be hiring our first grade teacher. We think we have a kindergarten teacher, but we're just having to do some paperwork to get them ready. And then we're posting and still recruiting for a second grade teacher at Bertram. So did not impact DOI, the District of Innovation. Some districts did put in their District of Innovation plan an exemption from the 22-to-1 rule, because they didn't want to have to write the waiver. We didn't feel like it was appropriate. We feel like that any time that we go over 22-to-1, we need to go to our board of trustees and communicate to our public, here's where we're at and here's what we're trying to do to fix it. So the waiver that we had to do it, but really it's probably going to be a non-issue, because we're going to end up hiring teachers. There are fast growth districts that out there that live with over 22-to-1 students. They write the waivers almost every year, and that's how they manage it. Good question. Dana. We have. So they've started this year. So about 2 years ago, we started having conversations about, I would say what we're seeing in terms of a spike are the 1% kids, the kids that are coming to school that have significant behavior needs. And so those 1% students were in a classroom, and we didn't have as much support systems to be able to remove them, support them, create a specific behavior plan, and get them back into the classroom. And so, and that action has already taken place. So each one of our elementaries now have a behavior certified teacher and 3 IPs. Our middle school has behavior staff. Our high school has behavior staff. And then the district hired a behavior specialist that her whole background is in behavior. And so she goes and especially helps with developing plans and supporting our behavior staff and our classroom teachers. Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, the spike has been, again, these 1%ers, especially at elementary. And, you know, as we talk about it, I think there's lots of reasons why maybe we're seeing more of those students. Some of the reason I think is that we have, especially our very young students are coming to school and maybe they've not had as much structure at home. And so they're being told no for the first time and they don't know how to handle being told no. Or they're being asked to do this activity for a set period of time and they've never been asked to do something for a set period of time. And they don't have the coping skills to be able to communicate, no, how do I deal with that when it doesn't go my way? Overall, as we look at discipline referrals across the district, there's actually a downward trend. Chief Nelson was just at the Rotary meeting yesterday presenting kind of a state of the police department. And the thing that we're noticing on juvenile crime in the community and at the secondary level, because that's where we have more interaction with our SROs, those juvenile reports and interactions with SROs are on a decline. But the issue that we're probably the biggest challenge would be those 1% students throughout our system that have severe behavior needs, and we're trying to work through providing them the support they need while protecting the classroom learning environment. And the other thing I would add is that I'm super proud of the Board of Trustees and the administration for, again, committing that level of resources, because if you go to surrounding districts, you're not seeing that level of support today in terms of behavior staff. I wish in a perfect world we didn't have to spend our money on that type of staffing, but the reality we're in today, we need to, because kids aren't going to be able to learn as effectively without that support. We're up against a time knowing that some of you need to head on to work, so we're going to say goodbye to those on YouTube. And I'm going to say again, thank you so much for being here. We're going to